But it reminds me of a key moment for us, which I know you obviously remember, when I was going to drop out of high school, and then you wrote me a letter, which I still have. And I brought it today.
Oh, no.
All right, guys, this is Almost Funny with Judson Veach. It's our 3rd episode. It still exists. I'm still making podcasts. Today's guest, I am pretty excited about. She has been a professor of theater for over 30 years. She is a playwright, director, and actor. And I have to text her what time I'll be home at night. It is my mom, Christina Kirk. Welcome.
Well, it's great to be here with you, Judson.
Yeah, I had to pull some strings to get this guest. She was big timing me. But she made it. And you just made it.
I did just make it. It was harrowing.
Oregon Trail for 2 days.
Exactly. Yeah.
Making your way here.
I'm so relieved to be here.
You had to do your 2 least favorite things in order to make it here, which was know directions and use technology.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep. New car, new technology. The phone wasn't charging. It was all the things that I hate for my mom to be having to do alone on a journey to my house.
Well, it does remind me of a story, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember when we lived in Columbus being on 270, and you had already moved out of the house, and I was completely lost and turned around because 270 is a circle, and you can get lost in a circle. So I called you up and I said, Judson, I'm on 270. And you said, okay, can you tell me more? And then you were looking for landmarks and things. And you got me.
The thing I remember about that story is, and I don't know if this was that particular time, but I was like, Ma, did you make it home? And you were like, the great thing about a circle is you always get home eventually. You went the whole way around the outer belt of Columbus.
Yes.
You were like, I just, I was listening to an audiobook and, me and Brene Brown went around 270 together for an hour. And eventually I started seeing stuff I recognized. I made it home. And,
that's what it was.
But you made it here. I mean, if you hadn't told me that there was issues, I'd have been like, oh, welcome. Hi. But
there were a few issues.
There's Bluetooth involved.
Oh, yes, yes.
You're not a Bluetooth.
I just got a car that was built in 2024, and the last car I had was from 2015. So there's been an adjustment.
Lots have changed.
That's a lot of change.
Since 2015.
Yes.
Yeah. Your first car didn't know anything about COVID.
No,
It missed everything. Ma, this is what I'm trying to do as my opening question. And I may not do this as the opening question forever, but for right now, it's the best I got.
Okay.
But I think it's kind of fun. The last thing that was on your actual TV screen, not your phone, not your computer, the last thing you watched on a TV.
Oh, this is horrible.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to confess because it's kind of a guilty pleasure. And I'm not sure I even like it that much. But I needed to fall asleep, so I watched Bridgerton.
Oh, that's not bad.
Really,
I'm trying to fall
it's
asleep.
when I really want to fall asleep. Because if I put on a West Wing, I'll stay awake.
Well, West Wing came up on the last pod.
Yeah.
What we were saying, like the difference in shows now, I don't know if Bridgerton, it's like old shows, you have to watch.
Yeah.
But when you have to watch, it does make me stay awake.
Yes.
Especially if it's a show I don't know. The nice thing about now is like if you put on an old show, you know it, so you can fall asleep to it.
Right, yes.
But a new show, there's not even that much going on. You don't even need to watch it. You can miss the whole second half of an episode. I do this, Sarah, because like I'm gone so many nights. I'll come home and she's in the middle of a series, and I'm like, I know what's happening. I know everything that's going on. I know everything about these characters. Like they just don't give you that much.
Yeah.
In the new stuff because they know you're on your phone. Is there a show that aren't just cast as like the world's biggest Bridgerton fan? Is there a show you're into right now that you do actually like?
And now we finally are watching The Pit, and we really like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's very good. It's very well written. Anything that John Wells is associated with is going to be good.
That ad always comes up when I turn on the TV, and it's like a little bit more high action than my children are prepared for.
No. It's intense.
I don't know what this phenomenon is where you turn on the TV and it's like, hey, can we play the world's scariest advertisement while we're trying to get to, Bluey real quick? Just the Amazon pops up and it'll be like medical drama, whatever, guy bleeding, guns firing.
It's very graphic.
The ads, just chill.
Right.
You chill out. My kids are here. And they're going, what is this? The horrible world that we live in. Every show is the world's scariest ad.
Well, they should have to screen those for ads like they do for the movies.
I don't think it's the same rules because what is it called? The FAA or no, that's the people that fly.
FCC.
FCC. That's what it is. I don't think it's the same rules for Amazon Prime. It's like a private thing. It's not over
they
like the
figure it's in your
broadcast
house.
waves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They figure you're controlling what your kids watch.
I know. They're like, your kids shouldn't be watching TV anyway. You're already a bad dad when you press start. Which, speaking of, this is a question I wanted to ask. I think it's an interesting difference between grandma and mom. What have you noticed are like the key differences between grandma and being mom?
Yeah, I just think I have permission to absolutely relish and enjoy it more. It was always just, okay, we've got to get you to this thing and we've got to get you to that thing and we've got to make sure you don't get run over in the parking lot. And so there was just
run over
stress.
is such a big part of it.
Like I just remember the stress of keeping you all alive and making sure you got to all your things and we got to all of our things. And you know, when I come visit you, it's like, okay, it's a week devoted to the grandkids.
Yeah.
And it's just absolute pure fun, you know. And what I remember enjoying when you were kids was when we would do the Mommy Judson Day. And then it was a day that was devoted to that.
That is like one of a top 10 memory of childhood memory that day. And it must have been around the year 2000 because that's when this movie came out. But we went to like Wyandotte Lakes. We were at like the pool special place all day. And back in the days we had like cash.
Yeah.
You know, so we like devoted a certain amount of dollars. So you had like whatever it was. And we're like counting out our dollars at the end of the day. And we were supposed to go to a play.
Right. I'd arranged because there was this play for children. And I thought, okay, we have to drive to, you know, after we leave this place, we'll go see this play for children. And then I looked at the movie theater and I said, the movie theater is right here. Do you want to just stay here and watch a movie?
Yeah. And so the idea of going from a play for children to pivoting, we went and saw The Patriot. Which,
how old were you?
I would have had to have been 8 because that's how old I would have been in 2000.
Yeah.
But I mean, still one of my all-time favorite movies. And I mean,
Me too,
looking back, you too, one of all-time favorites?
Oh, I love that movie. I don't know if it's my all-time favorite.
Love it. And, you know, watching it at all phases of life, obviously watching it at 8, I guess I was ready for it. I remember really loving it. But it's funny to think about the choices between play for children or like the most violent film.
It's pretty graphic and violent, yeah.
It's the realism of the violence.
Yes. They showed like, war in a real way.
Yeah, it does feel like, I mean, I guess there are, you know, it's not like it's a Tarantino thing, but that almost is like cartoonish. It's like there's like this like over the topness.
Yeah.
And that just felt like, because there's people who are in these situations, the emotional stakes. And
a father trying to protect his kids.
Yes.
I mean, it was wrenching. Yeah.
But I loved it. Yeah. So I'm really glad that we did it. So we would do these days where it was just, you know, the mom and
one kid, so that you could give your full attention.
I think that is probably the difference, because I do feel like I'm in the keeping them alive. A lot of it is just don't get, you know, into a problematic situation. Oh, is there a pool? Is there a car? Is there a...
Yes.
And so, and the other thing that you are becoming the queen of is the FaceTime grandma hangout.
I love it.
I
absolutely love it.
I don't even see this side of my daughter except when she is on FaceTime with you. It is the most theatrical person I've ever seen.
Because she's got an audience. I love it.
Anytime she has a creative thought, she's like, I got to get grandma on the phone. I came up with a song. Where's grandma? I'm like, you do know who to do this for. She will watch like your 1 hour, one woman play that you've made.
Time evaporates. I remember we were on FaceTime one morning and all of a sudden it was like, they're eating lunch. I wonder what time it is. And we'd been on for like 3 hours just playing.
I call them grown-ups now. There's kids and there's grown-ups. You're a grown-up. I'm a grown-up.
Right.
I have not met a grown-up who has this much play energy. You will play imaginary game for 3 hours.
I love it. Well, they're so creative and fun and funny. And yeah, it's endlessly entertaining.
Mom, you are in we'll do this as a poll. Like how many minutes can you just consecutively play an imagination game. I'll have fun. Sarah and I did this the other day. We did like a long, drawn out thing where we were being different characters. It was like an improv thing where we played a bunch of different characters, and then the kids kind of like see where it goes. And there's like a king and a queen, and someone was poisoning someone's field and someone was lying about it. It's a lot of fun. But we did that for about 20 minutes. We were exhausted at the end. But I do think when you're doing the baseline of like, keep them alive, keep them alive.
Yes.
And then you're like, well, now we're going to do a show. I'm like, it's going to be a one act real quick, be a few big laughs, and we'll get out of here. You're doing like Scorsese film.
Well, I remember there was one play date that we had where I was visiting, and it was a long time, and you guys were out doing things. And we did this series where it was like a TV series, and we were the hosts, and there was adventures on every show. And so, you know, and then it would be like, okay, this episode's done, time for next week's episode. And we would just go from episode to episode. And we had a kind of formula that we developed, and there was always an adventure, and there was a song at the end, and, you know, and so we did that for hours.
Oh, man. I love it when you come to town. Let me tell you. The grandma versus mom is making me think. So there are, I think, key moments, like parenting moments, and you don't necessarily know that they're the key moments until it's like, oh, that was a key moment. And so I always wonder, like, was that just a key moment? You know, where we stop? Like I had one the other day where with my daughter, where she's in her room and her room's a mess. And she had established, though, she was like, I'm going to clean this. I'll do it. I'll do all of it, even if her little brother doesn't want to do it. Because we were, you know, there was some negotiation going on. And usually one of the kids will go, this is the classic, this is so-and-so's mess.
Yes.
It's never their mess. No matter how big the mess is, they're like, I've never seen this before. I don't even know. This is obviously. So she saw that coming, and she was like, I'll do all of it. Even if he made it, I'll clean it all. So now the time has come to clean. And she goes in there, she comes back, she goes, Dad, I can't do this. I was like, just get started. And she goes in, and then I hear like the soft cry from the other room where she's like, she knows she's bit off more than she can chew type of situation. And so now it's one of the parenting conundrums where I'm like, I've established that we know what the rules of engagement are. You told me clearly, you're smart enough to know where this can go, where you know the overwhelming moment is coming. So you're like, I'll do all of it. He made some of this, but I'm still going to do all of it so I can keep playing this game. Okay, now it's time to pay the piper. And she can't handle it. But I'm like, when is it developmentally appropriate to like push her to just, you got to suck it up and do it, right? Because she's kind of like melting down, but also a private meltdown. She's not doing it to get attention. She's just obviously having a moment like to herself. And I go in there and I was like, hey, you can do this. She's like, I can't do this. And I go, if you were going to tell me how to clean this up, what would be the next step you would tell me to clean this up? And she was like, I don't even so much. I was like, but where would I start if I was cleaning it? You would probably need to move that shelf over. It's all knocked over. I was like, okay. So you know the next step. Just do the next step. And and I just stood there and she cleaned up the next step. And then I'm telling you, within 90 seconds of me just giving her a couple of these from the outside, and by the end, my son comes in, you know, your grandson. I don't know why I'm keeping their names a secret, but comes in and he starts to help. She goes, get out of here. I want to do this all. I'm going to have this huge feeling of accomplishment. She gets it all cleaned up. She's all shined up, ready to go. Dad, come in, look. But I was like, is that a key moment? Could that be a key moment? I felt good about it. But it reminds me of a key moment for us, which I know you obviously remember, when I was going to drop out of high school, and then you wrote me a letter, which I still have. And I brought it today.
Oh no.
Bag of tricks here. And this is like, if your mom is a playwright, she gives you letters that look like this. All nice. And what I do is from time to time, I just go back and I read it because you get different things out of it. But that to me was like, it's tricky. It's the same thing as Lincoln, where it's like, I know what you got to do. I can see what's happening from the sidelines. How much do I contribute and how much do I not contribute? And what I love about this, because I read it again recently, there's a page and a half where you are restating better than I made the case for the reasons why I should drop out of high school. You go through you make 15 points on behalf of me dropping out of high school to start your letter. I mean, that is time, folks. July 9th, 2008. That is almost, 18 years? 18 years ago? And then the other thing that I'm struck by every time is it's not outcome oriented. And that's what I come back to now when I read it, where your thesis isn't do this or don't do this. Your thesis is be smart about your process for your decision. And man, you got me. I mean, you got me, because I think you were reading the room. I was 16, and I think you believed in me being bright enough. And you're like, you got to read it. You're like, if he actually reads it, you thought he's going to be bright enough to read this and examine his process of thinking, and he'll have the critical thinking tools to make a decision that makes sense. But then you left it. And I would say it worked out. I have a high school diploma and I have another degree. What is it? A BA, BS? I have something. It is BS. Whatever. I don't use it. But you remember that.
I do, but so much of that letter is things I learned from you, because I remember in earlier conversations, we had a really dicey phone conversation before I wrote that letter where you really called me out. I said something about you being a minor, and you laid into me and said, hey, I have a mind, and don't dismiss me as a minor. Yeah. And that really resonated with me. And I thought, yes, he does. He's been critically thinking since he was 2, and has all of the capacity to make his own decisions. And I was wrong. And so what informed that letter was things that you had said to me and things I knew about you and what you were capable of. And yes, I had to let go of the outcome and give you permission to be in the driver's seat and make your own choices.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, did you feel like in that moment you were like, this is a seminal parenting moment? Or are you just kind of swept up in like, okay, this is a situation, it's kind of crazy, everyone seems a little bit upset, how do I handle this? Or did you have perspective in the moment to be like, this is kind of a big deal, It was
a huge deal.
Okay.
I reached out, and what's interesting is very recently I have these binders of, like you, I save things. And so letters that were written and any correspondence that's important from the family, I keep. And I was putting something in, somebody sent me a note, and so I was putting it in, and I just opened up. And I happened to open up not to that letter, but to a dialogue I'd had with my father asking for advice about the letter, because I had sent it to him ahead of time.
That's so crazy.
And I wanted his advice. And what he had said to me was, don't change a thing. This letter is great, but make sure that the way you give it to him is important, so he knows it's an important moment, because it should be something that he puts on a shelf and comes back to later.
Wow, look at that.
And I tried to do less with it. I mean, I said to myself, oh, that's embarrassing. I don't want to make it too big a deal. So I felt like...
So that was Grandpa's contribution, was to almost make it even more of a moment of significance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was embarrassed about that, because I thought, oh, I'm already writing this letter. It's already this formal letter. I don't want to overdo this. But he said, make it important, because it is important. And it's something that he shouldn't just throw away.
Yeah. And a little bit of context, if you're unfamiliar with our family dynamics. So if you're not like my cousin listening, the situation was I was getting to the later years of high school where I was super focused on just doing ballet as my career. And there was a lot of just external pressure about how do I spend enough time doing that. I was really unhappy with the high school I was going to and the academic environment there, and feeling like it was a waste of time and it was keeping me from being able to do the things I wanted to do. I didn't want to finish high school at Westerville South. I wanted to go to New York, which I ended up doing, but I was in this kind of jammed up position of like, I just need to be done with this so I can focus on something else. I'll get a GED. It won't matter. I'm not going to get any higher degrees. I don't care about anything but this. I'll do that and I'll be done. And the reason I think the letter, it wasn't just you going to my door and slipping it underneath. I was away. I was gone for 7 weeks at a summer program in Chautauqua, New York. And so we were having this correspondence, not even in the same place. So there was this also added, like, this is kind of like herky jerk weird. Like, you guys came into town to visit. And I remember we were at dinner and having pizza, and it was like, not fun because we were trying to figure this out, and there was a lot of just hurt feelings. And so then the letter, coming through, and I remember being there, and you wrote on the cover of it, or however you said, read it twice. And you told me later, like, I told you to read it twice because I knew then at least you'd read it once.
Yes.
And I did. I read through the whole thing, and I kind of knew that, so I'd read it once. I said, that's pretty good. It's a long. It's not like it's a short. It's pages. She writes plays for a living. There was characters. There was set directions and things like that. Wheel in bed from stage left. No, that would be fun. But I did want to look at this. I thought that was interesting. It's interesting you bring up Grandpa, because there was one section where you are quoting him, and I just thought it was interesting. And people don't care about this. You can skip if you hate everything that we're doing right now. But quoting an essay from Grandpa.
Yeah, he wrote a series of essays and put them in a book form, The Gift of Fire.
Okay. And you quoted something here, and I just think it's really interesting. You said, he says, training without education can be pretty devastating. Training can be comforting for a while. It can give you a sense of security. But when trouble comes, when you ask one day, what does it all mean? Why am I here? That's when we need the means to seek another answer. And the essence of that, to me in that moment, means something very different than it means to me in this moment. And reading through this, you're talking about the means to an answer a lot. The way you're getting from point A to point B doesn't really matter point A and point B as much, because that's what you're going to really have to rely on every day of your life is the means to an answer. It's not just going to something going, all right, we do this and we do this and we check this box, and it's some external perfect set of rules that you can follow, and you do high school like this, and then you go to the next step like that. You were saying, like, life is messy and confusing and complex, and I hear all the reasons that you're saying the things you're saying, and all I want to focus on is making sure you have the means to do point A to point B. And it's hitting me differently now because I am so focused on a new thing. In the same way, it's the same guy, but just grown up. And he's going, I gotta do comedy, and I gotta be successful at this, because if I'm not successful enough, then I won't be able to do it, because I won't be able to support my family, and all these things, all this pressure, all these, false finish lines you put out that I'm putting out, and going, whoa, read this. Slow down. The things that you think are important, I'm looking at so many goals. I'm looking at so many point Bs I'm wanting to get to. Like, the ends is what's important. Like, the outcome is what is important. And then what this is reminding me to do is slow down and think about the means of going to point A to point B. Don't just make a podcast and have your mom come on it. Think about what you're doing, son. No, but does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And what could be more gratifying for me than to know that one of those seminal moments is still resonating. And I am convinced you're going to have a series of those with your children. Right. And it's already happening. I see it happening, and I see it in them, and even the way that they're creatively playing. you and Sarah have just created this beautiful environment where they are free to play and grow and be, and and so I'm learning so much watching you as a parent and thinking, oh, I wish I'd known, and I wish there are things I would do differently now because I see the environment that you're creating for the kids.
That is interesting to me, and I'm sure I'll feel the same way. Because I think you and I are both big self-examiners. So you're kind of like, how can I improve or optimize or be open to a more holistic way of doing life? And so I understand the impulse to feel that way. I keep coming back to how grateful I am that I had certain things already downloaded when I started parenting. I'm noticing, because you obviously notice, oh, this is a parenting impulse that I want to get rid of. Like, we all know that. I make 100 videos about that, right?
Yes.
And it's fun and it's funny. But there are certain other things that I think are more, that are harder to talk about in a video in your car, where like having a secure sense of self, that isn't an accident. A lot of people are walking around with all sorts of things. And I just feel grateful where I'm like, oh, there are prerequisites to parenting that I'm really grateful I have. And that's what gets downloaded in like what we've built in our relationship, a relationship that when you're 16 and your mom writes you a letter, that you respect it and go, she's making some pretty good points. No 16-year-old's reading his mom's letter like, I mean, the writing's good. I can't argue with it. Oh, who'd she quote? My grandpa? I mean, in that case, you had me at my grandpa. So building that mutual respect relationship, I focus on that so much. I am talking too much, but I want to say this one other thing, which is I saw a video, and I'm not even going to give this person the time of day to show the video, but it was a guy, and he was talking about, it's kind of an old school parenting philosophy where it was just such a heavy regulation of his teenage daughter. And he was talking about the things I will let her do and things I won't let her do. And of course, it grabs me because I've got a daughter who is, not a teenager yet, but you blink, it's like she's halfway there. And I was getting so worked up because what he was saying is, he was like, I will keep her safe by regulating. She can't kiss a boy. She can't go she can't do this. She can't be in this situation or that situation. And what I kept coming back to is like the way our relationship was, where you go, look, if you respect our relationship, you will model respectful relationships in your life. And so, not to say that it's perfect, and not to say that like, obviously there has troubles come up and your kids go, I'm going to drop out of high school and do this wacky plan. And like, there's going to be fights at the Andriacchio's over breadsticks. Like, that is how it goes. People get mad. But to return to, you never were like, I'm going to tell you this is the way it has to be. I'm going to keep you safe by doing this. To be like, we're going to have a mutual respect. Because what I would love is to model for the father-daughter relationship, hey, the most important guy in her life right now treats her with respect.
Yes.
And that will be her expectation for, because I will not be the most important guy in her life forever. As hard as that is to imagine, right? So this is my window. This is my window to download. This is respect. This is a respectful relationship. These are your expectations. Because if all she knows is some guy goes, you do this, maybe the wrong guy walks up and starts telling her things that I don't want her to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Clip it. We decided that was true. My mom says seal of approval. Her son was correct. You guys heard it. My mom agrees with me. I just brought you on to co-sign all of my takes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good
and
job,
also,
Judson.
my wife should clean more.
No.
No, I know.
That's where I draw the line.
I know. You're going to go to bat for Sarah every turn.
Every time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I think if we've got anything. Oh, the other thing I did want to, because we talked about this the other day. I feel like this kind of links in with this, which is observing your parent as a kid. And the story, will you tell the story of when you went to the workshop?
The workshop.
Where you left for a month?
Oh, yes. So, yeah, one of the hardest decisions of my life was when you kids were 2 and 4, I had the opportunity to go to not just a workshop, but a month-long workshop.
We were
month.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. And I
Dad's
remember
worst nightmare.
It was. And it was one of the few real conflicts we ever had, because he was like, why would you do that? He really was. And usually he is, such an involved, he always supported me with every career choice, everything I wanted to do. He was so supportive. But with this, he was like, okay, you can do it, but I disagree. And so,
so you
I had
already...
the added burden of my husband, my life partner, who always supports me on everything, doesn't think I should do this. Ooh. And my kids are only 2 and 4. And we did invite my mom in for a portion of the time that I was going to be away.
Shout out Grandma.
Yeah. So we got the support. But I remember the first day I arrived, one of the things they asked us to do was to walk around the space and remember the moment that we decided we were going to come. And I just started sobbing because I was so destroyed by the fact that I made this decision, because I really felt I needed this month. And it was an acting workshop where you do this intensive work, and it was mind-blowing and changed my life and was so incredible. But at the time, I thought, this is not good for my kids. I'm making a choice that's good for me and isn't good for my children and isn't good for my husband. And then there was a moment, I think I was about a week or 2 in, and every night I would call you kids and talk to all 3 of you, both kids.
You left us items that smelled like you?
Yes, I did. And left you videos of me talking to you.
We would play the mom video.
Yes. But I called and I, was talking to you, and you, 4-year-old Judson, says to me, Mom, what did you do today? And that moment was so incredible for me, because I had this realization that you were curious about what your mother was doing and thought it was pretty cool. And I told you some of the cool things because we did fights and stuff like that. So you thought that was so cool because I had to learn fight choreography. And I realized, there are things that are going to be hard, mostly for my husband at this point. The kids won't remember at 2 and 4 that I was gone for a month, but they might. Judson might remember that his mom is not just a mom, but she's a person.
Right.
And that she does stuff. And that was a real opening and awareness for me that changed my idea of what good parenting is.
Yeah. Yeah. I again, it's one of those stories that changes, because I would heard you tell that, when I was 18, and I'd be like, yeah, Mom, you left. Like, it was fine. No big deal. But then you have kids. And
a month is a long time.
A month is a long time to be gone, And I think especially for a mom, I don't want to disparage dads, but as a dad, I don't like being gone at all, but it's tough. It's a tough moment. And I reflect on it now because 2 things can be true. It can be not the best thing for your kids, not the best thing for your spouse, and still be worth doing, and still have value and benefit for your kids, or maybe your spouse, who knows. Mm-hmm. But that was an example of that. And now I, in many ways, act that out as a dad who, goes, guys, I'm going to comedy, or guys, I'll be back at the end of the weekend, or guys, I'll see you later. I do a lot of see you soons. And I try to borrow from that story where the thing that matters, I'm hoping, is my relationship when I'm there being really strong. And if it hurts when you're leaving, that's maybe a good thing, because there is a bond that is being missed. And then be vibrantly and vividly present when I'm there, and then try to be vibrantly and vividly present in the other things I'm doing as a person.
Yes.
I'm a dad and I'm a person. You're a mom and you're a person.
Yes.
And so that is, I guess it's just part of growing up. Even when you are grown up, you keep growing up, but things do change. The stories in your life change, and the way you look at them change. And you go back and you read letters, and it changes. But Mom, I know this is covered a lot because everybody, when they're talking about their mom, they're always like, "My mom's always writing plays." So I don't want to cover stuff that like I feel like we cover in culture too much, probably. But I think it is kind of cool. What is it to even in 2026 to write a play for the stage? This is not like I'm writing this and it's a play, but like mostly it's for content. And we're doing like the making of the play, and we're doing a lot of vertical video. You write like a legit play.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten with the times, have I?
I'm only 500 years behind.
And on top of that, I write plays often about people from the past. So I'm really, really backward.
I love the Abraham Lincoln play. So the House divided, and it was produced, and the show was great. I don't know if we have a lot of Lincoln heads in the audience, but give the outline of that, because that as a circumstance, I feel like I like history and I really like Abraham Lincoln history. The circumstance of that play is so cool.
Well, it's not something that many people know about, because there was a week in December of 1863 when Abraham Lincoln's sister-in-law came to visit, and she happened to be a Confederate, because much of Mary Lincoln's family were Confederates.
Classic sister-in-law stuff.
Exactly. And so what you have is a week where, right in the middle of the Civil War, where you have the part of the family that doesn't get along or doesn't see eye to eye. And so it felt very timely to be writing about that particular moment in history. And it's always just sort of a footnote, like, oh yeah, there was this week when Emily came to the White House. And I think some sparks flew, but nobody really talks about what happened. So I thought, why not invent a play about that?
The family drama involved, a Confederate coming to the White House, people are fighting the Civil War. It's Abraham Lincoln's sister-in-law, and his wife, Abraham Lincoln's wife, wasn't like, oh, we're not that close. It was like, no, this is like my best friend's sister. This is like a hugely important person in my life. Honestly, there's like so much relatable to that just as like family dynamics play.
Right. Yeah.
But then you put on top of it, it's like, you know, you think you have a lot going on. Imagine if you were also trying to win the Civil War. You know, it's like, I got relatives coming in town. Everybody's going to be fighting. Also, you know,
yeah,
you got troops to move. This is a
right. Yeah. And it really was a great opportunity for a spark flying play. And I think it has some timeliness just in that, how many times have you gone, oh gosh, do I really want to go to that Thanksgiving dinner? Because
super relevant.
My family and I don't necessarily see eye to eye.
Super. I don't know if people have been following along. I feel like we do have some division in the country at the moment. So
a little bit.
It's relevant from that angle. But also, like, when I was watching it, it's so interesting because you have the icon of what Abraham Lincoln is. How humanizing family stuff humanizes people in a way other stuff, when you watch a movie or a play or a TV show and they focus on the historical events side, you're watching the historical drama, it sometimes lionizes people when you see them in action. Even when they're failing, you go, oh gosh, you know, they're rolling up their sleeves and they're getting in the dirt and they're trying to figure out this thing. And then you just takes like 14 seconds of watching a scene of a guy fighting with his wife, and you're like, oh, geez, he's just like the rest of us.
Yes,
you know?
Yes.
It's like Abraham Lincoln was just a guy doing his best and had to rise to the occasion of saving our entire country.
Yeah.
With like probably much higher level family issues than the baseline, even for that time.
Yeah, definitely. And that was part of my goal was, you know, because I revere Lincoln. He's, you know, arguably my favorite president. But I also didn't want to just canonize him, as you say, and wanted to make it that all the characters were real. And multidimensional, and nobody's a good guy, nobody's a bad guy, everybody's a guy. Everybody's a human being on the planet, which means you're flawed, you're confused, you're messed up. And so is Lincoln. And so that internal drama, but knowing that he's carrying the weight of the Civil War on his shoulders at the same time that he's dealing with the family dynamics and the family drama, and both are coexisting for this human, was really fun to explore.
What was it like to write in Abraham Lincoln's voice?
Well, the nice thing was I do a lot of research. So I had read umpteen books. So all of a sudden you sort of get into that language. And I had so many quotes from him. And he was a funny guy. He was a storyteller. And so I have some direct quotes from Lincoln. So then what I just tried to do is extrapolate and say, well, this is kind of how he talks.
Yeah.
And now I'm just going to make some of my own Lincoln jokes.
I punched up a couple of your jokes.
You did. Thank you very much.
There's laugh out loud. Like, I remember going to the show and being like, all right, get some real pops here. Like, that's good. The play is funny. And then you also are now doing, still in the historical vein. I mean, this is, I don't know, are we allowed to talk about what you're working on now? Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're doing an Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
What's the lowdown on that? How is it similar? How is it different to what the Abraham Lincoln?
Well, and it's not that everything I write is about old presidents. I have written other plays, but this one I really wanted to focus on her and not the president, but Eleanor, because she was such a seminal person in her time, and unlike any other first lady that ever, before or since, I don't think we've ever had as influential a first lady as Eleanor Roosevelt.
How could that be?
That's a great question. Maybe we should write a play about it.
I should write a whole play. It would take me 2 acts.
No. And so I really wanted it to be looking at it. Always I want to look at the past through the lens of now. Like, we have had so much feminism since then. And I'm asking myself, at the time that she was alive, there was somebody that came to her who was a dear friend and was really the maker of Franklin Roosevelt in terms of putting him on the political map. But he said to her, I could make you president. I could do it. You've got all the chops to do it. She had no interest in that. That's not what she wanted to do. But at that time, he honestly believed she could be president.
That Eleanor Roosevelt could have been president of the United States in that time in history.
Right. And he was saying this in 1934. This was early in Franklin's presidency when he said, when Franklin's done, let's get you.
Wow.
Let's get you to be president.
Women really breaking in that right to vote. They're like,
there
we finally can vote. Let's get one in right away.
Right away. And so what I'm interested in is we still can't get a woman elected as president.
That's true.
And
it's been a challenge.
And I would argue that some of why women haven't been elected is because they are women. And so interesting to look at history and say, here was somebody that was being so influential in her time and had so much capacity, and how have we evolved since then? And what are the ways in which she was a feminist in her time, and what does it mean to be a feminist in our time? And so I really focus on her mother-in-law, Eleanor, and her daughter. And because then you've got 3 generations of women. There are other characters in the play, but all 3 of those women represent something very different. Her mother was a product of the Gilded Age. And really, Eleanor was raised in the Gilded Age. And so that's one thing. And so how did she carve out a way for herself? And she was a very strong, domineering woman. But you look at her in her context of her time, you think, well, how else could she have any power?
Yeah.
She had to be strong and domineering.
As it connects to, I don't know if this is like a feminist issue or whatever it is, but I do think it's interesting when I'm seeing you work on these plays, and even looking at kind of my experience watching you as my mom going to working mom of the 90s and early 2000s versus, seeing my wife in the workplace or seeing other people that I engage with in the workplace, the difference of like women going to work, the difference of like my mom works is so different now. It feels like to me from then. I don't know if it feels to you different, but it feels like a different time in how that feels for life.
Yeah, I think that the biggest difference for me is I think women now have more of an awareness of the challenges than I did. I'm not saying, I mean, I stood on the shoulders of women in the 70s who were the ones that burned their bras and did all the things that made things possible for me. So, in that regard, I'm the recipient of a lot of the work that women before me did. And so it's interesting when I talk to my women friends who are in their 80s, I really have a huge amount of respect for them because they were the ones that were really, going through the barriers.
Right.
I almost feel like I'm this strange thing. I'm about the same age as Barack Obama. And so on the edge of the boom, right?
A lot of the same credits too.
There you go, right? Yeah, we have so much in common.
Great at
Barack and
basketball,
I.
former president.
Right,
all
yeah,
the stuff.
all the stuff. But it's an interesting thing because I think there was kind of a lull where we talk now about internalized oppression, where you don't even know that you're being oppressed, but you are. I mean, I was in a workplace that was dominated by men with a lot of good old boys, and I didn't question it. That was just the reality.
Sure.
So I didn't go, gosh, I'm really being dominated by men. I was just like, I got to find my place. I got to find my way. I got to move through this. So
is there any devil's advocate thing could someone say, well, didn't that make you like a tougher person on the other side, or like that shaped your character in some way to really have to fight and carve out your place? Then you ended up being the head of the department at the end of all of that. And is there a devil's advocate argument that's worth making?
I suppose there's a devil's advocate argument, but I'm not really that interested in making it.
Me neither. I was going to pitch it to you.
No. I mean, the way I look at those kinds of things, like, oh, our trauma makes us stronger. There's going to be plenty of trauma. So let's not seek out trauma as a reason for and say that that's a good thing. I think, anything we can do to lessen that and make it more of a level playing field, and the better.
You can have personal growth in situations that aren't just problematic.
Exactly.
You can have a lot of growth when you are being supported as well.
Absolutely. I think you can have so much more growth when you're being supported.
I'm going to second that.
So much more.
All right. Another take, a valid take from mom and son. We're all on the same page on this show.
I know we need more conflict, Judson.
Yeah, I know.
What do we like don't agree on?
We need a Jerry Springer the table.
Yes, I know. We need to have an argument.
Give the people what they want.
Exactly.
We'll let them do that in the comments. You said the word feminist a lot, so I think if this hits the right algorithm, there's going to be plenty of angry comments. We'll let them do the fighting.
All right, then.
Afterwards.
Very good.
In kind of the arts vein, this is a bonus round question that I'm moving up to the main because I just think there's going to be a lot of meat on the bone. A movie that changed your life.
I want to reject the premise.
Oh, you and Sarah are doing the same thing.
Yeah, because when I think about the art that changed my life, oh my gosh, now I'm thinking of something else. The art that has changed my life, probably the thing that changed my life the most, I thought it was something else, but it's seeing Michelangelo's David when I was 10 years old. And I had seen all these replicas because we were traveling through Europe, and there's all these replicas of the David, And I said to my parents, "Well, it's everywhere. Why are we going to this special place to see it?" "Oh, those are just replicas." And then we went in there, and I remember my dad was pulling on my arm, and he said, "It's time to go." And I said, "We just got here," and he said, "We've been here an hour."
Wow.
And I was in the presence of a masterpiece. Wow. And that was life-changing because it made me realize, there is a difference in terms of what makes something art. And another moment that was at that same time was we went to Paris and we were at the Louvre and we went to the famous Mona Lisa. There happened to be an art student who was sketching it at the same time. And so I got to see a pretty good art student, but the difference between the actual Mona Lisa and this artist trying to sketch, was really quite stunning. And this was as a 10-year-old.
You're getting like another layer of perspective on the art. It's like another frame of the art. That's so interesting. That's the most my mom answer ever. I was like, what's a movie you like? She's like, I went to the Louvre.
Well, and then the other one was in college when I read Enemy of the People, which is a Henrik Ibsen play, that was written in the 1800s. But
this is relevant. This is good. No. There's been a lot of clamor online. They're like, you never do Ibsen stuff. Where's the plays from the 1800s, Judson? Let's clip this. This is a great clip.
It gets remade. Lots of contemporary playwrights have tried to rewrite that
It's called Enemy
play.
of the People.
Enemy of the People. And so it's been rewritten many times. And I think the reason it never goes out of style is because it's about corruption. And it's about, a town that has a water source that's been corrupted. And this man finds out that the water source has been corrupted, but the town is making money hand over fist, and the town is much happier because they're making money from this water source. And he's like, no, it's corrupted. It's going to hurt people.
Right.
And he is getting ready to make this big speech about it to save the day because he's going to be the hero of the day. And when I read the book, all of a sudden he says, "Oh, I'm not going to make the speech because it's not going to make a difference."
Oh.
And I was devastated. And I thought, wait, you're our hero. You have to make the speech. What is this play about? What does it mean? And it got me questioning and asking myself, oh, he's making a much bigger statement by saying that, no, you don't get a hero that comes and makes a good speech and then everybody changes and the world is a better place.
Yeah.
And so it was really a life-changing experience.
That does change your life. When the playwright doesn't let you off the hook by giving you the happy ending, he's basically saying, I'm a mirror to what is.
Yes.
And so now you have to live with what is. That's an interesting piece of art.
Oh, yes.
And that sticks with you.
Oh, it stays with me.
How old were you when you read it the first time?
Probably 20.
Okay. And have you returned to it?
Oh, yes.
And do you get different things?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. But I still hearken back to that first read because it was that awakening to you can't save the day. The world has corruption.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we don't fight against it. It's not like, okay, I give up.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh, this artist is fighting it against it by, again, holding a mirror up to nature.
Accurately examining the essence of the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And not letting us off the hook by saving the day.
Yeah. When you watch a superhero movie, it's escapism. You're going, oh, some outside force comes in and there's good and there's evil and it's not complex and the good guy wins and it feels good. And there could not be anything less superhero movie than a play from the 1800s that doesn't have a happy ending.
Although I do have a life-changing moment from a superhero movie.
Oh.
My favorite moment in any superhero movie, and I won't know which one it was, but you probably will.
Okay.
It was one of the Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
And it's the one where he's on a bus.
Tobey Maguire?
Probably. He's on a bus or a plane or something. No, he's on a bus or a train.
Okay.
And he gets revealed. Like,
Oh,
people know who he
yes.
is. And so
Yes.
everybody
It's
on the
Tobey Maguire.
train knows who he is, but they all agree not to say.
Yeah.
And that just absolutely destroyed me because I thought, oh, there are moments of community. So it's exact opposite
Yes.
of the Enemy of the People. It's the moment when a community can come together.
How much is it depressing to watch the degradation of what media, content, art, what people watch is, as someone who reveres the old school?
Well, it's interesting. I happen to be teaching in a school that houses the Center for Emerging Media Arts.
Ooh.
And I've just gone through 2 searches for a storytelling person and for a film person. And I have great respect for emerging media.
Okay.
In fact, we've been talking about verticals and that you can have good verticals and bad verticals. Just because you put something in a shorter form, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be superficial or without value. And so I think it's a lot harder to do that, to say, I'm going to give you a small bite and I'm going to make this somehow significant. And so I think there's huge value in emerging media. And so I'm excited about even AI. AI has a horrible component to it, but it also is a great tool, if used in the right ways, that can expand, the art making experience.
Yeah, and if you get a yellow stain on your counter, you can ask AI, how do I get this off? This is a rice stain and I can't figure it out.
The true value of AI.
Yeah.
There it is.
So you're not having the impulse to be like, because I feel this, I'm making so much content. And so like when I'm behind the guy behind making short form video, I feel like I have a lot of experience making short form video. And what you're optimizing for is the attention of the potential viewer. You're not necessarily optimizing for an artistic expression. And I think, like you're saying, it's really hard, but it's a little bit like, who's wagging the dog here? Like, how much of what's being made, because it's only being curated by the audience, it's great. There's no gatekeeper, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But when there is no gatekeeper, you start to lose things like, why? Why are we doing this at all?
Yeah. Well, I think that the democratization is good. And I think every artist, even if you're doing long form art or if you're doing short sound bites, has that responsibility to say, are you grabbing your audience? I mean, I think we get indulgent. And so sometimes it becomes very indulgent where people, I can just go on for 3 hours and you have to watch my play. No, I don't want to watch
listen to my podcast.
Right. I don't want to watch your 3-hour podcast. Thank you very much. Okay, now we got into the drama. But no, I think we have to grab attention. And so I think something that the shorter forms are teaching us is we've got to figure out how to grab the attention. Now, you ask a great ethical question. For what purpose are we grabbing the attention? And are we doing something of value with grabbing the attention? If it's just for a hot hit and there's nothing else behind it, well, then that's kind of pandering and horrid. But I do think that the lessons learned by having to figure out how am I going to grab an audience are the same lessons no matter what form we're in.
You got to have them.
You got to have them.
And you got to have them quick.
And, why should I watch? And I think with the democratization, what ends up happening in the longer sphere is that the audience goes, I'm not sure I want to watch this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to watch another episode of Bridgerton. Thank you very much. I just don't know if that's what I want to do.
This might be my bias against the things that I do, which is my concern is that it preys upon people's inability to say no, the way gambling preys upon people's inability to say no. You swipe to the next thing and you go, oh, okay, maybe I'll get the dopamine response in this one. No, okay, maybe, I did. Oh, yeah, another one. And, you see the comparisons like slot machine. And I feel like I want to do something. I try to make it that it's generally positive. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make something that's generally fun and improves your frame of mind.
Yes.
On a platform that I think maybe is sort of designed to just keep you there. And the things that keep you somewhere sometimes are not designed in an ethical way.
Right.
And I don't know what to do about that.
Well, I think what you are doing is saying, I'm going to make sure my content is ethical and positive and moving the bar, because you're not taking people to slot machines, And so usually your button, I tend to watch some of that social media that you put out.
My mom watches my clips.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But the button usually is, maybe it's a funny reversal, but it might also be a thing where you go, oh, right, yeah, that is a better way to treat your kid. So there's these little moments that go, oh, right, I have that choice. I could make a more positive choice. Or maybe it's just that release of, I'm not alone. Somebody else is struggling with the same thing that I'm struggling with. I'm not alone out there. And I think that has huge value. And, it's probably a steady diet of that for you as a creative artist is probably not all you want to do with your career.
Right.
But it is marvelous on many levels, and I think there should be more short form content like yours than some of the stuff that's leading people to, have a gambling addiction.
Sure. Yeah.
See, what you're doing is better than a gambling addiction.
Yeah, that's good. My mom thinks I'm slightly better than giving people an active gambling addiction.
A little bit.
That's great. Okay. So we've done movie that changed your life.
Which we rejected the premise.
We rejected the premise. That's a classic my mom move. She loves to reject the premise.
Yes.
That's a great. When we were at Thanksgiving and we were trying to watch trailers for movies we were going to go out, and it was like 4 seconds in, I just hear from like behind me, deep behind me, you know you're in the room. You just go, I reject the premise. All right, we're not going to watch the all-female bank robber movie. That was about to happen. Also in the bonus round, I've been asking people, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, because my son saw one.
Oh, which son?
The only son I have, the
That
one I'm
makes it
looking
me.
at right now.
Yeah, this is a classic family story.
Yeah.
Back in the old spooky house.
Yeah. Wait, the house that was haunted with ghosts?
All right. I need to push back a little. So this was the spookiest house. What year was this built? Like 1900?
Yeah, probably.
Around the time of the Ibsen play, probably. And we're doing it. This is the most relevant. I mean, I haven't spent this much time talking about things over 100 years ago in my life. My mom shows up for 15 minutes, and we're like, if we talk about anything even in the 1900s, I'm out. We need to go deep. So we're in this like old, creaky, like bats were in it a lot.
Yes, bats were drawn to that house.
And
I'm
this is
just
not
saying.
evidence. So there's a lot of reason for a kid who's like 6'7", to be to be nervous, to be scared around this house. And I remember being in our bathroom and looking, and like the way the lights coming through the window, I'm like, I created this like ghostly figure so vividly in my mind's eye. And I tell her, there's a ghost in here. There's a ghost in our house. We've got a big problem. We got to move.
You saw a woman. You saw a woman that was a ghost, and now you've rewritten it to say that you created it in your mind's eye, but you actually saw it when you were 6. And kids can see ghosts better than adults.
According to ghosts.com, that's not necessarily true, but let's give your premise all the air that it needs to breathe.
Okay,
which
good.
is,
We're not rejecting my premise?
No, I think this is a premise we'll accept. We've got me in what we'll call a haunted house.
Yeah, okay.
There's bats.
Yes.
That's evidence of something clearly.
Yes.
And now I've described seeing a woman standing in the shower.
Yes.
That to me is an anecdote you hear. That's pretty the base anecdote. So wouldn't it make sense that that's kind of like the pre-recorded settings of how I would expect to see that? Because haven't you had this phenomenon where you look at the stack of clothes and you go, someone's in the house, and you go, oh wait, it's a stack of clothes. Because that was how I remember it.
But I don't know if you will confess to this now, but I felt like at the time when you were describing it, it was a woman you'd never seen before that you saw. And so it was something that you actually saw.
I'm split on this because I think because kids are so imaginative, and I was like an imaginative child, and I had this baseline of like, we're in such a spooky house. Like my brain is ready to be in the imagination zone of there could be a ghost around in the corner. That wasn't the first time I'd been worried about ghost, right? So I'm afraid like I'm going to see a bat, I'm going to see a ghost, I'm going to see anything. So I go in the bathroom and the light's shining through into the shower the right way. I go, there's a ghost in the shower. Because of course, like if you're looking around to see things that are red, all you see are things that are red.
You're doing a lot to convince yourself that you did not see this woman ghost.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay, viewers decide.
Yeah.
Did I or did I not?
Because I would describe you
a
as
lady in my shower.
I think you were a very realistic, pragmatic kid. And you didn't, you could be playful and creative, but I didn't feel like you were quick to invent things that weren't there.
Yeah. The thing that I do just keep finding in my life though is, and it happens all the time, where I walk into the house and there'll be like a shadowy thing and I go, oh God. And then it's not the thing that my brain convinced me it was.
Or maybe it was, or your brain convinced you it
Maybe
wasn't.
she's following me.
Maybe she is. Yeah. And so I'm not a giant ghost person. I'm really not. But Actually, your experience with the ghost is one of the things that makes me think that there are ghosts.
All right. Look at that. That's how much my mom enjoys my content. I gave her one clip about a ghost 30 years ago, and she's like, I'm still in.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm all in with that ghost.
That's good content. Last question. What is one quality that you, if you could just download it into your kids or your grandkids, and you would just go, ooh, you get this one on me, you get to pre-download it, what would the quality be?
Self-love.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, without question. Self-love.
All right. I don't think that needs any more. You guys, that was Christina Kirk. It's my mom. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for inviting me, Judson. This was fun.
This was great. We will catch you next time. See ya.